All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be solving these conversions. Um, Now, on these conversions, they're going to be super tricky because we are going from a small measurement to a larger measurement. And doing that requires some extra learning involved. So let's look at B. So B says we want to convert quarts to gallons. So if we look at our conversion chart down here, 1 gallon has 4 quarts. So 1 gallon is actually a bigger than quarts. So, but they want us to convert from quarts, which is a smaller measurement, and go ahead and write the S above quarts. We're going from a smaller measurement to gallons, which is a larger measurement. And so we're going to be kind of doing the opposite of what we're doing on the last lesson, and I'll kind of explain as we go on. But our first one is they want us to take 20 quarts and they want to convert into gallons. So what we're going to do is first separate the 20 quarts into two factors. We're going to have 20 and then we're going to have it multiply it by 1 quart. So 1 quart times 20 does give us 20 quarts, but we want to convert all the way down to gallons. So second line is we're going to write 20, and you will see here they converted 1 quart into 1/4 of a gallon. And let's explain how they got 1/4. So let's look right here again. 1 gallon has 4 quarts in it. But if we were to write, okay, if I had 1 quart, and 1 QT stands for quart, how many gallons would that be? Let's think logically. Can it be 1 quart has 4 gallons in it? No, that wouldn't make any sense because 1 quart is a smaller than a gallon. So that's why they took the 1/4 gallons to be the equivalent conversion. Or if you think of it as this, let's say this is your 1 gallon right here, this whole tape diagram. Well, how many quarts are in a gallon? Well, you have 4. There's 1, 2, 3. These are all quarts. Now, if we're looking at what just 1 quart is, this right here, this 1 quart, that's going to be a fraction of the whole entire tape diagram. That fraction represents 1/4. So 1 quart, this 1 quart piece right here, is actually a fourth, 1/4 of the whole entire gallon. And so that's how they got the conversion to 1/4. Now, when we take 20 and we multiply it by the 1/4, all we're going to do is take the 20 and multiply it by the 1, and that's going to give us 20. And then it's going to be over 4. Because if you think about it, 20 times 1/4 also means 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 20 times. And when you add fractions, the denominator, which is the 4, will stay the same. And you'll have to add the ones, all those ones, 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, all those 21s to get 20. And so now you have 20 over 4. And something you're going to learn in Module 4 when we get there, that this fraction bar also represents division. So this fraction bar also represents 20 divided by, that fraction bar means divided by, and then it's going to be divided by 4. So that tells you that this 20 divided by 4 will give you a answer of 5, and you have 5 gallons. All right. So let's move on to another one, and we'll just see more patterns as we go on. All right, let's look at C. We're converting centimeters to meters. So the measurement centimeters is a smaller unit, and then we're going to meters, which is a larger measurement of unit. And so if you look down in the conversion chart right here, we have 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So if we only had 1 centimeter, do that in blue. If you only had 1 centimeter, how many meters would that be? Now, it can't be 100. 1 centimeter cannot be 100 meters because a centimeter is smaller than meters. So actually it's going to become a fraction. It's going to be 1/100th of a meter. So going back to the line right here to convert, we're converting 920 centimeters. So we're going to separate the factors. We have 920, and then we're going to times it by the centimeters. Well, we're going to only do 1, because 1 centimeter times 920 will give you 920 centimeters. But we want to now to convert it all the way down to meters. The second line, we're going to keep the same. We have 920. And now right here is where we're going to convert. 1 centimeter is how many meters? Once again, it can't be 100. 1 centimeter is not 100 meters. 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So this is actually going to become a fraction. It's going to become 1/100th. And now we're going to go ahead and multiply 920 times 1/100th. So it's like taking this fraction 1/100th and you're going to add it 920 times. That fraction means the denominator will be the same, which will be 100, and then adding all those ones up, you'll have technically a 920 of them, so that will be your numerator, 920. And remember that I said this fraction bar represents a division. So we're going to do 920 divided by 100. And now I'm going to pull up my place value chart and plug in 920 on the place value chart. So 9 is in the hundreds, 2 is in the tens, 1's in the zeros. Since we're dividing, our number is going to get smaller and we're going to be going over to the right. And we're dividing by 100. That means we're going to be moving 2 spaces to the right because there's 2 zeros and 100. So the 9's going to go over to the 1's. And the 2 tens are going to go to the tenths. And the 0 ones goes to the hundredths. You actually don't need to have those 0 ones there, but you do need to have a decimal point. So as meters, we're going to have as a decimal 9 2/10 meters. So once again, kind of review, 920 centimeters is the equivalent to 9 2/10 meters. All right, for D, they want us to convert meters, which are smaller, so put an S underneath meters, to kilometers, which is a larger measurement. So looking over here, here is 1 kilometer. That's a larger measurement than the meters. So if you had 1 kilometer, you're going to have 1,000 meters in it. But if you flipped it and you say, okay, well, what is 1 meter as a kilometer? Well, it can't be 1,000. Once again, it's going to be a fraction, and it's going to be 1/1000th of a kilometer is 1 meter. So let's go ahead and start with the problem. We have 1,578 meters, and they want us to convert to kilometers. So separate the factors. We have 1,578, and we're going to multiply it by how many meters? We're going to multiply it by 1. So if I multiplied 1 meter times 1,578, that would give me 1,578 meters. And now we're going to go ahead and write 1,578. Now what they did here is they converted for us as a decimal. But I actually want you to cross off this decimal because this decimal of 0.001 also represents the fraction 1/1,000. And I want you to write 1/1,000 for me. Now, what we're going to do now is multiply 1,578 times 1/1,000. So Looking at patterns that we did in the previous two problems, our denominator will be 1,000. Our numerator is going to be this number, 1,578 times 1. So you're going to get 1,578 on top. And remember that this fraction bar right here also stands for division. So you can also write it as 1,578 divided by 1,000. And hopefully you're doing that as well to show your thinking and show your work. I'm going to pull back that place value chart because I feel like it's very beneficial to show and to make sure that we get the right answer. That we're going to take 1,578 and divide it by 1,000. Since we're dividing, we're going over to the right. That was a really bad arrow, but over to the right. How many times? Well, we're going to go over 3 times because there's 3 zeros in 1,000. So that 8 will go from the ones all the way to the thousandths. The 7 will go to the hundredths. The 5 will go to the tenths, decimal point, and the 1 will go into the ones place value. So we get the answer of 1 and 578 thousandths kilometers as our answer. So just to review, this measurement is equivalent to this measurement as well. It's just in a different measurement. All right, let's look at E. We're converting the grams to kilograms. So I will give you a hint. Grams are definitely smaller than kilograms. So we're converting small to large. If we look on our on our conversion chart, 1 kilogram equals 1,000 grams. So let's flip it. What happens when we have 1 gram? What is that equivalent to kilograms? And hopefully you know it can't be 1,000. It's going to be a fraction, and it's going to be 1 over 1,000 is 1 gram. So 1 gram is 1,000th of a kilogram. So let's go ahead and convert. They took away the lines for us, but we can quickly put those in to help us figure out what we need to do. So now we know that we're going to separate the factors. We have 6,080. And we're going to multiply that by how many grams would give you 6,080? Well, it's going to be 1 gram gives you 6,080 when you multiply that. Second line is going to be 6,080, and we're going to convert the 1 gram into kilograms. All right, so going back to what we have down here, 1 gram is smaller, and it's actually going to be 1,000th as a kilogram. So it's going to be 1 over 1,000. And then the next line is going to be multiplying the 6,080 times this fraction, 1 over 1,000. So keeping the pattern the same, the denominator of 1,000 is going to stay the same. And 6,080 times 1 is going to be 6,080. And that's going to be kilograms. But we're going to go ahead and show that we can actually divide, because that fraction bar means division, 6,080 divided by, write the division sign, by 1,000. So I'm going to quickly pull up the place value chart. I'm going to write 6,080 on the place value chart. I'm dividing, so I'm moving over to the right, and I'm going 3 spots to the right because there's 3 zeros in 1,000. So that 0 will end up, the 0 ones would end up in the 0 thousandths. The 8 goes into the hundredths. The other 0 will go into the tenths, and the 6 will go into the ones. Now the only number or the only digit that you don't need is this last 0 in the thousandths. So we have an answer of 6 and 8 hundredths kilograms as our conversion. So on the next page, we are going to continue more conversions, but they want us to not only solve, but then they want us to write a statement to show each conversion. So write our sentence at the very end. So let's make sure that we leave space down at the bottom to write your sentence. All right, so B says a jug of syrup holds 12 cups. They want us to convert 12 cups to pints. So let's look at our conversion chart down here. I see that 1 pint is equal to 2 cups. So a pint is bigger than a cup. But looking at the problem, they want us to go from cups, so that's a smaller measurement, and they want us to go to pints, which is a larger measurement. So looking over here, coming back, okay, well, 1 pint equals 2 cups, but if we had 1 cup, that's going to be not 2 pints, but it's going to be half of a pint. That's our conversion. So let's go ahead and convert. We've got 12 cups, and we're going to separate the 2 factors. So we have 12 times 1 cup. You need to make sure that you write your label of 1 cup. You can't just do 12 times 1. You got to do 12 times 1 cup. And now you're going to go ahead, and the second line is going to be 12, but now you're going to convert that 1 cup into pints. Well, we have it down here that 1 cup is actually 1/2 of a pint. So we're going to do 1/2 of a pint, PT. And now we can go ahead and think of it, we're going to be doing 12 times 1/2, or 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2, 12 times. So following that same pattern, that denominator, which is that 2, is going to stay the same. And now we're going to say, okay, that 12 times that 1 will be our numerator, and that's going to be 12. So we get 12 over 2, or 12 halves pints. But remember, 12 over 2, that fraction bar also means a division. So you can do 12 divided by 2. That's easy. That's going to give you 6. So the answer is going to be 6 pints. And now we've got to squeeze in our sentence. So I had to squeeze in my sentence, a jug of syrup holds 6 pints. If you don't have any room, maybe somewhere up on top or over off to the side, but keep it in this area for this problem that we're working on. So make sure you have a sentence and that you're having your answer of 6 pints also in your sentence with your ending period. All right, let's look at D. We've got the capacity of a container is 1,478 milliliters, and they want to convert this to liters. So looking at our conversion chart down below, 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. So a liter is bigger than a milliliter. And so now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to say, okay, well, 1 milliliter, ml, is the same thing as 1/1000th of a liter. Because a milliliter is super small, just one of it. And that in relations to a liter would be 1/1000th. So we're taking 1,478 milliliters, and we're converting it to liters. So we're going from small to big. So separating the factors, we have 1,478, and we're going to multiply that by how many milliliters would give us 1,478, and that's going to be 1 milliliter. Now ready to do the next line. So you're going to do 1,478, and you're now going to convert this 1 milliliter into just normal liters. Well, 1 milliliter is the smallest, is smaller than a liter, so this is going to be a fraction. It's going to be 1/1000th of a liter. And now we're going to go ahead and multiply 1,478 times this fraction, 1/1000. Following that pattern, we're going to keep the denominator the same as 1,000. And now we're only going to just multiply 1,478 times 1. And that's going to be 1,478 over 1,000, and that's going to be liters. But also remember that the fraction bar represents division. So 1,478 divided by 1,000. And here's a perfect time to pull out my place value chart. So I have 1,478. I'm dividing. That's going over to the right. It's dividing by 1,000. There's 3 zeros in 1,000, so we're moving it 3 spots to the right. The 8 will go into the thousands. The 7 will be in the hundreds. The 4 will go in the tenths, and the 1 will go into the ones. So then we have the answer of 1 and equals 1 and 478 thousandths liters. And we're going to now write our sentence out. So squeezing in your sentence somewhere in the space out you're working, the capacity of the container is 1 and 478 thousandths liters. So make sure you have the measurement liters, and you have your answer, and you have an ending punctuation mark. Let's look at the last one below D. Look at F. All right, for F, let's see what they want. The distance was 264,040 meters. They want us to convert to kilometers. So looking at our conversion chart down here, 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So 1 kilometer is bigger than 1 meter. So on our problem, we're actually going in the reverse direction. We're going from small, keep using that yellow, small to large, because meters are smaller. 1 meter is smaller than a kilometer. So let's actually convert. So back to our conversion chart down below, we know that 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, but what if we flipped it? 1 meter can't be 1,000 kilometers. Is actually going to be 1,000 as a fraction kilometers. So we want to convert 264,040 meters. And our first line is we're going to separate the factors. So we have 264,040. And how many meters do we need to multiply that number by? Well, it's going to be only 1 meter. Make sure your M is next to the 1. Now we're going to do the second line, 264,040. And we're going to convert 1 meter into a kilometer. And we have it down here at the bottom. So 1 meter also means, as a kilometer, 1/1000th. And then following kind of our patterns that we're doing on the other problems, our denominator is going to be 1,000. And the numerator is going to be 264,040 times 1, which is 264,040 over 1,000. And that's going to be kilometers. And now we're going to go ahead and say, hey, remember, this fraction bar represents what? It represents division. So we have 264,040, and we're going to divide that by 1,000. So time to pull out that place value chart, and I'm going to put 264,000, 0 hundreds, 4 tens, and 4 ones. Dividing by 1,000, going to the right, and then it's going to go 3 times to the right. So that 0 in the ones is going to go 0 to the thousands. Then all the other numbers are going to follow in front of it. A 4, a 0, a 4, a 6, and a 2. I need a decimal point after the first 4. And the only digit I do not need is this 0 in the thousands. I do need this 0 in the tenths. I can't take it away and have it be blank. So, as a decimal, my answer is 264 and 400ths kilometers. That M is kind of sloppy. And now we can go ahead and write our sentence out. Squeeze it in somewhere or down below near the page number. So I just wrote a really basic sentence. The distance is 264 and 400 kilometers. So make sure you have your answer with the measurement behind with an ending punctuation. And that ends this lesson. Kind of a new skill that you're learning, but as we kind of worked through it, you found patterns. You found out that the fraction bar also means to divide the numerator by the denominator. So you learned a lot today, and we will see you on the next one.